Welcome to the Bonus Time Monster Truck Podcast, presented by MonsterTalk, your number one source for the latest news, results, and more from the monster truck world. So strap yourselves in, because Bonus Time starts now.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the very first Bonus Time Monster Truck Podcast presented by MonsterTalk, episode of 2024. I am your host, Jackson Morris. As usual, today I am very privileged to be joined by three of the amazing people at Starr Creations. We have Jesse closer to the camera, Aaron with the great beard, and Eric on the end. Guys, thank you so much.
Terrible beard.
Are you sure? It looks pretty good to me.
We could have done the order of beard shitty.
Right.
Beard.
Right. Well, fellas, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. How are we doing today?
Fantastic,
Yeah,
man.
good, man. Glad to be here.
Well, I'm glad that you guys reached out to me because I love everything that Starr Creations has done, especially with all of the content that you guys have been putting out on your social media. I would love to know who edits those videos, because some of that stuff I'm going, how the hell do you even put that together? It's great stuff, and we're going to be talking all things Starr Creations today, so I'm very excited to get into that. We also have fan questions that my fans have wrote, so fans, thank you so much for all the questions that you guys had, and hopefully we can answer those. Gentlemen, are we ready to answer some questions both from myself and the fans?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Well, my first question, just so fans are aware, for those that may not know who Starr Creations is, can you name some of the teams and some of the trucks that you have brought to life through Starr Creations?
Man, there's a lot. As far as independents go, Kraken, what used to be Exterminator, now is Boss Gator, Wolf, Velociraptor, Recreation. That's kind of some of the independents. As far as Monster Jam goes, we,
Quite a few.
Yeah, a lot of the fleet, man. Started off with El Diablo back in 2014. That was my first truck I ever carved. And then we just kind of took it from there. We've done, NEA Doomsday, Soldier Fortune, Pirate's Curse. Trying to go down the line, chronologically.
Pretty much everything from that point to now.
Yeah, all the way up to, we did JCB, Lucas Oil, Dragon. Man, I don't know. You just go down the list. There's a lot of them.
Absolutely, and I love that you mentioned some of those older names too, because I think originally, before I started doing my due diligence and my research, that you guys have been working on trucks for a very long time, longer than I originally expected, and there's been some great names that you guys have brought together through Starr Creations, and I just love the look of some of these trucks. I love the work that you guys put in, and it's top tier. I do want to ask next, though, how did Starr Creations begin, and how did you get involved with the monster truck industry? I know just before you were talking about El Diablo, so can you elaborate further on that and how Starr Creations came to be?
Well, it started, actually it would have been U.S. Body back then, and I kind of had to headhunt Jesse and Aaron, which I already knew, so it wasn't very hard to find them.
We've been friends for a long time.
Friends forever. So, it was an obvious go to these guys. It started with Jesse, like, hey, on the art side, but, Aaron's a lot better at the hand carving. And at the time, we didn't have a CNC machine. So it was like natural to him just to start carving away. And I flew out to Chicago, told them guys, yeah, I can do it. Aaron can do it. Jesse can do it, whoever.
And I told him I could do it, but I didn't think I could do it. I was like, sure, yeah. Build a truck for Monster Jam,
Yeah, come back full circle. It's funny now because now we own U.S. Body again as well. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a full circle for us. But yeah, that's the way it all got started. I brought these guys in, and then he started Starr Creations because they needed to pay him separately for some other stuff he was doing.
All the foam rubber stuff, like the zombie arms and things like that. So that's what created Starr Creations. My last name's Starr, so I was just like, Starr Creations,
So that's pretty much how it got going.
Well, Aaron, just to not gloss over this, he carved El Diablo by hand.
Oh, yeah, hand carved.
It was a nightmare.
I'm looking at the microphone. He carved El Diablo by hand, and that's the first truck, first Starr Creations truck, really.
That's amazing to me. Like the fact that that thing looks as good as it does, and he did it.
Yeah, the
by hand.
fitment's terrible. Don't look too close at that truck. If you look at old footage, it's pretty rough. But that was,
But you're going off.
none of us knew what we were doing. I'd like to point
And it
that
wasn't even
out.
a real 3D picture that they gave you. Remember,
It was just
all
a
The
couple
art
of
was pretty rough.
drawings, you know, and none of them really matched up. And that's
Totally different world than now.
yeah, that's how we run. That's how we do everything. Is like if somebody goes, "Can you do this?" We just go, "Yeah, we can do it," and then we figure.
Well, we
out,
made it
we
through
figured it
that
out,
ordeal.
figured it out
Like,
later.
so if we made it through that build, it was like, man, we can build anything.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I did want to clarify as well. You were reached out to by Feld Entertainment to create El Diablo, and then since then you've created more designs as well. And obviously, you just pointed out as well, you hand carved El Diablo, which I know that you guys are kind of like, oh, it doesn't fit that well, but I thought it looked good. Was there any other trucks that, because I know that at some point, I forget who it was, Eric might have said it, you bought the CNC machinery, but were there any other trucks that you hand carved as well, similar to El Diablo?
Well, so after El Diablo, I believe it was NEA Doomsday, and that we kind of did the old style, like how you make a boat, where you make like sections like ribs, you know. So we had those cut on a CNC. We didn't own the. We just went to a friend's shop and had those made. A lot of it still had to be handmade, all the accessory pieces. After that, we realized
That's the way
we got to go with the CNC, but not just cutting like wood planks, to do more the foam cutting and.
Yeah, and then we had to figure foams out.
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well
So we
because-
started off with what's called EPS foam, which is your standard white styrofoam that obviously resin, gel coat, acetone likes to melt all that. So you have to, it's a real pain. The process, we went through a lot of, different ways of doing it. Then we ended up with more polyurethane based foam, extremely expensive, but nothing melts it. It
not as
sands like
expensive
butter.
as other foams out there, but definitely like it's like a middle of the road, but it's perfect for what we do. Honestly.
Yeah, for monster trucks, it's excellent. Yeah, so we've created,
A
we've gotten better and created a process now. So.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, with time, you make those improvements and all of that. And I did want to talk about something that you were just mentioning as well. What were the challenges of creating the first body for Monster Jam? And kind of compounded on with that is, what is the process of designing a truck and then translating it to what we, the fans, get to see out on track?
First one, the challenges was just transferring Feld's artwork onto chunks of foam that I could carve and make sure all the dimensions were right and all that. It was more of just like a freeform sculpture type thing at that stage. Now moving forward, Feld still does a lot of their own designs. Jesse does a lot of designs. We kind of grew our company with Monster Jam, with Feld Entertainment, and we cater to them. So Jesse has gotten heavily involved, and now it's all very precise. We have 3D scanners now and all that. So all the chassis are exact. They're in the computer when Jesse builds a model around it. The fitment is incredible. I mean, I even get scared sometimes when I go to fit. I'm like, I don't know if that's going to fit. And then you get it on there and there's just, the body just clicks over that chassis. It's crazy, man. So Jesse is really the man when it comes to that.
Absolutely. And I think this might be a question specifically for Jesse, but do you have any influences over the design of a particular truck? Like, let's say Monster Jam comes to you and say, hey, we want to do a Spider-Man truck. Do you get any influences over the design, or is that mainly just, hey, we have this, try and make it as best you can to make it work?
It could go any one of several different ways. Like sometimes it's like, here we have the artwork ready to go, and then I'll turn it into a 3D model, and then we'll go from there. But a lot of work has to be done between the drawing and the 3D model to make it work and to make it fit the chassis, and all these different things get changed. So I have a big hand in that. But sometimes, there's a couple of different people who will design trucks, and I'm one of them, and we'll all kind of throw our design in the ring, and whatever gets picked, gets picked. Sometimes I'll work on a truck design and throw it in the ring, and nobody likes it. So it's like, whatever.
These designs sometimes go back and forth for over a year.
Some of them.
It's not like they just say, "Hey, let's make this truck," and 2 weeks later, there's art and we're good. It's a process, and there's a lot of people involved in the whole, from
a lot of signatures, a lot of that.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that we might think something's great on a design, but the crew chief might be like, hey, look, how am I supposed to get to this part or whatever if it wrecks? And then, we didn't even think about that. There's a lot of back and forth. There's a a whole lot more planning and thought process into these bodies than I think that people realize, because it all has to work. You have to clear tires and suspension. You still have to be able to get to it. You have to be able to ship it. They have to be able to ship in shipping containers all around the world. There's multiple things that are involved. Not to mention like accessory pieces that are what type of materials are going to be, like a vacuum plastic or expandy foam or what, like, because, stuff can't fly off into the crowd and everything. So there's a lot of things that are considered in that whole process.
And then we always get to the end and something's
there's always something,
inevitably some little detail that got overlooked. When you start focusing on all these things, there's going to be something that gets overlooked.
But at the end of the day, it's a fiberglass body, and we always say it's fiberglass. We can fix it.
Usually it works out pretty good.
So, kind of compounding onto that, you're talking about compromises in terms of the design to make sure, it fits the fitment of the chassis. It has to have certain wheel clearance. My question for you, this might be a tough one, but which body did you have to make the most compromises for when trying to turn it from a design, obviously, into a real truck that becomes?
That would be Jesse's department.
That's a really good question. I got to think about that one.
There's always compromises, and there's always a lot of compromises. So,
and what do you think it would be? That's a great question, man. I actually like.
I guess it would depend on if you're talking Felder.
Well, I mean, JCB had a lot of compromises because in order to get the shape, because they like to keep things as close to the chassis as possible. It helps protect the body roller and stuff. But some shapes can't be put the whole thing can't be against the chassis. So JCB has a lot of, there's the backhoe on it and all that. And there's a lot of going back and forth. Like, man, is that going to work? Can we use that? Can we?
Honestly,
not?
the Marvel trucks,
Marvels went back and forth.
The only one I designed was Iron Man. The other ones were designed by somebody else. So a lot of changes had to be made from those original designs. The Marvel trucks were a lot of changes. There's a lot of compromises there.
Yeah, because you got to make everybody happy, from Marvel to Feld to the littler guy, the people that are going to be driving it. You want to, got to take into consideration the and all that. So you got to think everybody involved in one of those trucks, man. And
a lot changed when they started doing a lot of the nose wheelie stuff.
That is true. The way they run the trucks is totally different than it was 10 years ago.
All that changed then. It started going a different direction. With
so the front ends we're actually redesigning certain trucks right now just to make sure that they fit so they don't get destroyed on nose wheelies and things like that. But there's always something new that's
and that'll
always
continue
a challenge
to change as they start doing more stuff. Obviously backflips.
It does make our job at least interesting in that respect, though, because it's not like it's cookie cutter. Like, we just do that easy, no problem. It's always like, okay, how are we going to make that work and keep everybody happy? And, it's interesting.
Absolutely, and I'm glad you guys mentioned again the Marvel trucks, because I got to see them in Australia a couple of months ago. They looked absolutely fantastic, and I keep telling everyone, all of my fans, if you're skeptical on how it looks, you have to see it in person. You have to see it at nighttime. I
get to see them this weekend in Costa Rica, actually.
Oh, awesome!
I've seen them on frames, but I haven't seen them on big tires. Have you seen them on big tires?
The only one I've seen on big tires is Spider-Man.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of them up close
because we don't have them here in the States.
Yeah, of course. Well, I'm telling you, you're in for a treat when you get to see it in real life, because I was drooling over that thing. It was absolutely beautiful.
Excited.
Okay, so this is another interesting question, or I think it's interesting in my opinion. So obviously every truck is different, and certain names will get run more than others. But on average, how many different bodies do you produce for a particular truck? So again, something like, say, Iron Man or whatever, there's only one Iron Man running, you'd make a few different copies. But I'm trying to think of a truck, Thunder Royce, there's two of them, so I imagine you'd make a lot more. So back to the question, how many on average different bodies do you usually make?
Try to deliver between 5 and 8 bodies a week is what I'd like to get out the door. They understand, though, that they're ordering for a full season. They already know what they want, 8 months down the road. And so we just try to keep up with the demand. So we just keep pumping as many, and that may adjust. They may say, okay, let us get 10 Thunder Horses, over the next 2 months. And then maybe the guys don't blow them to pieces. And like, okay, we're going to adjust the third month. We're going to bring that back, or we're going to add more Spider-Mans to it. It always kind of fluctuates, but they kind of have it dialed in.
Which truck though do you think you made like the most? Like
The most bodies was probably Shark.
like
Because they run a Megalodon every show, so
yeah.
make tons of those. I can't even count how many Sharks. Like seriously, a ton.
I'm glad that you guys mentioned that because I was just about to ask you what truck that you make the most. But yeah, you're right. Megalodon's on 6 different tours international and all the stateside.
Very popular truck. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. My next question for you. This one isn't necessarily about Starr Creations here, but in your opinion, other than your own trucks, what do you think is the best 3D concept body in Monster Truck history? So throughout time
In history?
and other than your own, otherwise it'd be a bit of an easy question, but someone may have asked you what is your favorite. So in history,
recently I dig in that Lego truck.
I love the Lego truck concept, man. I think that's great. Like,
or whatever it's
just
called,
that concept. I was like,
I've seen that.
Oh yeah, it just looks like a bunch of Legos in the shape of a truck.
Yeah,
it looks really good.
I can't think of the name of it.
Legitimately,
It's
like
Block.
it's Blockhead. It's from
Blockhead.
Jerry Beck.
Yeah, that's a great concept. I've never seen it in person. I caught pictures of it and started seeing it around. I was like, oh, that's genius.
Cool.
It's a genius concept.
But so best one in history. Do you guys have an idea?
Man, best 3D body in history is a tough one. I mean, you can go back to Snakebite. I mean, that's the first 3D body. But,
yeah.
You know, that's...
I'm going to be honest. I absolutely loved El Diablo when it was built and done. I don't know if you're talking about just concepts or...
Yeah, it was pretty good, man.
I mean,
when you go to a show when you go to the
when it was
party,
standing up. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
One of those wheels.
That was one of my
really
favorite.
cool,
like that truck was a nightmare for me, so I'm not gonna
Yeah,
say
I
that
mean-
was my favorite.
I mean, I know the build of it was.
it almost killed Aaron. But
Yeah, I actually got chemical pneumonia making that truck, so
Oh my God.
I did almost
He was
die.
gurgling in the office for 4 or 5 days.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough one, man. I mean, I might be a little. I know outside of Starr Creations, it's tough. Inside Starr Creations, I think at the end of the day, man, Exterminator was my favorite as far as paint and execution. I loved that truck, but
like the original first painted one that we did that went out.
Yeah. But outside of that, I mean,
that was nice.
I don't know. I'm gonna say Snakebite just because of
The history.
it's where it all
Okay.
got started as far as 3D body. So I gotta say that. Shout out to Fred Reap on that one, bringing that thing back.
All right, shall I throw out some names and let me see what you think about those bodies and those concepts?
Okay.
Sure.
Do it.
Do you guys remember Wild Thing, Tony Farrell's
Yeah.
Wild Thing? You
Yeah.
guys like that
Oh,
one or
yeah.
not really?
I think for the time, like when it launched and stuff, it was a good truck. I just think that the way we build trucks now and the way you can do stuff now, it could probably be improved on now. But definitely, it was
definitely groundbreaking at the time.
it was ahead of its time.
Yeah, it was very different at the time.
Okay, I'll throw out one more name for you, and then I have my final question before we
Okay.
get to the fan questions. Oh my God, it just escaped me as I was saying it. That's embarrassing. That's terrible. It'll come. Oh, I do remember Crustacean.
Oh man! Oh, dude, that is
yeah.
a good one,
That
dude.
is a good
That
one.
truck, I'm kind of upset I didn't think about that truck. That is done very well. Like that truck is killer looking.
Yeah.
Whoever created that one, man,
They did a
yeah,
damn good job.
hats off to you because
That's cool.
that is a really good truck. I like that one.
Shout out to Greg Winchenbach. Hope you're watching this. The Starr Creations
Right on.
guys, they love Crustacean.
Good stuff, Greg.
Yeah, killer.
My final question for you guys, and this one might be a little bit easier and maybe a little bit tougher to answer than some of the other questions, is what has been the most rewarding truck that you've brought to life? So anything from Monster Jam, independent, whatever, anything that you've worked on, what is the most rewarding truck that you have brought to life?
For me, it would be the most rewarding one for me is Kraken, and then that would be on the most like I'm really proud of that truck, and it's gone really far, and it's become a really a fan favorite truck.
Yeah,
But for me personally, as far as design wise goes, the Wolf's Head, man.
Yeah.
That's a
Okay.
good truck too. Yeah,
I think that I think that was like the pinnacle. It's all downhill from there.
When that thing is painted right, man.
When it's painted right, and it's like
in person. So in person is the best with that truck.
For me, I would have to say El Diablo.
Okay.
It's simply because that's where it all started.
Of course.
That pushed me to limits that I didn't even know I could be at mentally, physically. Like seriously, it was. I was sleeping at the shop. Took 3 months of my life to build that thing.
Somewhere to prove it.
My longest work day in my life was on that truck, and it was 84 hours straight.
Oh my god!
And for real, he came into the shop like in the morning, and I'm still there, and I could not mentally make my hand touch the sander to the foam. He said, I don't remember too much, but he walked in, he said, I was sitting there like trying to sand something, but I was like this far away from it, and he's like, you got to go, dude, you're done. And I was hallucinating, I was seeing color. Like, actually, you stay up that long, you lose your mind.
What I actually said was, go sleep 2 hours and then come back.
Yeah. I think I slept for 3. Take a break, and then I had to get back on it.
Impressive.
Bus there, we were sleeping in.
But that truck definitely defined like that, to me, we're capable of doing whatever. We can do whatever. Just throw it at it. I mean, I made it through that. Dude, I can make it through anything.
Well, I think I tell people about that truck more than I tell them about anything I've made. So I'm going to go with that one.
But that's what started. It was the end of 2013. It released in 2014, and we haven't looked back since.
It's been a while.
I think I'm on the CNC table right now is our 30th monster truck.
Oh, so, wow.
There's a couple concepts in process right now at the shop, but I got number 30 cutting on the CNC machine. So, that's felt trucks, independent trucks. We brought back Bigfoot 4 and 8, it's all that kind of stuff too, but it's actual trucks coming out of our shop.
30th full build
monster trucks.
As opposed to like, we do build some trucks that already existed, but full build, we've done 30.
From scratch.
That we're making the molds on.
Of course, yeah. Eric, do you have a opinion on what the most rewarding truck has been that you've created, or that Starr's created?
I would definitely say El Diablo as well, because for me too, me and Aaron were.
It's what started it.
We were there, we were side by side. We didn't know what we were doing.
We suffered together.
We did suffer together. If he was there, I was there with him. Mm-hmm. And it was very rare. I would maybe run home for a little bit, but I was always right back. And
he was in a band, and he had a tour bus.
Yeah,
and so they just parked the tour bus. Man, we'd sleep on that thing. We didn't even go home. It was the middle of like December, taking showers in a water hose outside.
Freezing cold.
Yeah. Even though it's Florida, man, it still is like 50 degrees outside. It's a cold shower.
There's a lot of crazy memories. I mean, that's the most. That's the one, because it started the whole.
All this insanity that I never would have dreamed we would have ever been doing.
Well, I mean, I just can't believe the progress or maybe progress is the wrong word, but just the progression that you guys have made over, from El Diablo to where you are now. I mean, I've loved every step of the journey that Starr Creations has made, and all the incredible concepts that have been brought to life for Monster Jam and all the other independent teams. I'm going to move on to our fan questions. There's some great ones here. I do want to preface in advance. A lot of people did have questions regarding Kraken and Jester. A lot of people wanted to know how these different designs came to be, and like if there's specific designs in the process. And I actually might be a good point at asking, do you guys have any? I think Kraken was partly a design between both you and Tomfoolery. But did you guys have any sort of input on Jester and Kraken and any of the designs that the team has been running?
Well, Jester was around already. So Matt was already running Jester. And then
okay.
I think, didn't Jason...
Yeah, so Jason Becker, Master Faster. Originally... came up. So there was original sketch.
He worked with Nick on the sketch. Like Nick kind of told him.
Nick did a sketch.
Yeah.
And then Jason kind of elaborated on it. He made a little model, right? And then once I got a hold of it, I changed it a lot, but it was the same design for the most part. Mm-hmm. But I just added whatever I wanted to add to it, I guess. And then, so it was kind of all three of us put together. Yep. They got it rolling, and then I finished it, and then I had to make it work, obviously, and all that nonsense. So But yeah, so Kraken was it was a group effort, but yeah, so that one we at the end we designed that truck, based on all of that.
Was that our first independent
That was
3D body?
I think that was our first independent 3D body.
Yeah.
And
so that's significant for us.
Yeah.
We got to bring what all we've learned working with Monster Jam, and now we can offer that to the independent guys, give them the opportunity to,
And then Wolf was the first
upgrade
one
their
fully
trucks.
designed by you.
The Wolf Head was the first one I designed 100% myself
with no other
in-house,
input at all.
100%. And
painted in-house as well.
Painted in-house. Yeah. Everything that truck was 100% done by us fully. And that was the first one like that. Then there was Exterminator.
So I'm going to move on to my first fan question. It's actually from Ryan Anderson. He technically is too. He said his first question.
I'm answering questions from that man.
You know what's you know what's coming. I'm pretty sure because someone.
I'm terrified.
Thanks in advance.
All right, show's over. We're out of here. Yeah.
He knows too much.
Yeah.
So his first question was this... I'm going to read it properly. Hold on. Was this body a 3D scan of Nick Pagliarulo hair straight after a long night's sleep? That was his...
It's just a backwards mullet. That's all it is. Kraken is just a backwards mullet. Yeah.
That's his eye, though.
That's definitely crazy.
That's impressive. I've never heard of a backwards mullet until today. You learn something new every day.
Well, hey.
So his real question was, how long does this body take to make from the first bit of fiberglass laid until the final coat of paint and graphics? So I don't know if he's specifically referring to Kraken or if he's just referring to all of the trucks that you guys work on as a whole. So I guess you guys are free to talk about whatever, either just Kraken or all of them in general.
Most of our trucks go to Feld and they do the body work and paint and all that. The independents, though, we try to help those guys out, try to paint them in-house. So it takes a day or two to make the body. I mean, it's just cure times and all that, trimming it out. And then it takes about another day to prep it for paint because Kraken is just nothing but nooks and crannies. And it's a big truck. That's a big body.
Or do you mean the whole process?
What do you mean?
Like from making the truck? Is that what you're talking about?
Is he talking about from
like a new truck?
We make the parts in the mold, or are you talking about?
We'll include that as well. He didn't really specify, so we'll include that as well.
Okay, so if we already have the molds,
yep.
Let's say 2 days to make the parts, a day to prep it for paint. I'd say 2 days of paint, just because making logistics and stuff, and then it goes over the Pagliarulos, like for Kraken. They have somebody that puts the vinyl on, so that's another day. So, but Monday to Friday, you can have a finished product. I mean, we've had cut foam on the floor for an independent, and I had from cut foam that has to be assembled, primered, body worked, your PVA, which is our mold release, gel coat. I mean, make it into molds, make it into parts, paint it, and have it delivered. I did one in 5 days. So no sleep, just stay at the shop and work through. But normally, if you're going to build a truck from scratch, including CNC time, body work, making the molds, making the parts, I'd say that comfortably 60 days, 90 days. We can do it in 30. Done a lot in 14. That just makes my life miserable.
And on top of that, you've got the design work on my end, which for an independent, it's usually pretty quick. It's usually like, here's a drawing. You like it? No, let's do, okay, you like this? Yeah, we're good. And then, so I just build it and we do it. With a company truck, it could take a lot longer sometimes. Some trucks, one truck in particular took 8 months of design back and forth.
Right.
I won't say what truck that is, but it took 8 months. So,
and then, it takes time so it takes on average about 2 weeks to CNC all the foam for the average truck. So it's 2 weeks of just cutting foam before we can even really start the assembly process.
So that would be
part of it. So that 2 weeks is part of it as well.
My next question that I have here is from, I lost it, MT World Media. He is asking, so this is a little bit similar to something that I asked before. So, if there's any ground that we're retreading, don't have to elaborate on it too much. But he is asking favorite body of all time from Master Trucks. So I am going to say I will include your guys' trucks. So yeah.
Favorite body of all time.
I mean,
It's a tough one. I mean,
Obviously
the El Diablo has a sentimental value, but I don't think it's the best body.
I'm gonna have to go with Bucket Bronco.
Good choice.
We need to get with him, man. We need to work something out there. Man, there's a lot of good concepts out there.
I don't know. That's a tough one, dude. It's like,
to be honest, I mean, I grew up on Bigfoot, you know. No offense, Dennis, and all you old school guys, but like
I do
Bigfoot
love the original 73 to 79. Like
that original.
Yeah, I like those 80s
designs, just so cool looking.
I just love all those classic trucks are good. All the old school leaf spring running over cars.
Which is funny that we ended up making the number 4 because US Body actually made number 1.
Yeah,
was currently making the number 1. I don't know how many years they did it, but Bigfoot won.
So I'm gonna say I'm gonna go with Bigfoot just because it's just part of my childhood.
It's just my favorite truck of all time.
Kind of going off of the point that Eric just made, does it feel especially gratifying, you know, that you guys loved growing up with some of the older leaf sprung trucks? Does it feel especially gratifying getting to work on, I think it was Bigfoot 4, you guys said?
Yeah, 4 and 8.
4 and 8, okay.
Yeah, 4 and 8, but Bigfoot 1 was US Body was building that when we took over the company, so we actually get to technically build that too when they want it now.
Right. Yeah.
So that just
we basically restored 4 and 8. Those molds were thrown away, and we had to go through a process.
But yeah, man. So growing up loving Bigfoot, I mean, to have
the opportunity
to
bring that truck back for us. Man,
so we had to go to Missouri
over that one.
We had to go to Missouri and scan what was available to be scanned, and we got to, you know, sit
Bob Chandler and their crew were very
cool.
welcoming. You know, we got to sit in Bigfoot 1 and all that, and
so like to have that truck, I don't know, it's
to have our name on it.
Yeah,
I mean, literally the guys at Gateway Mustang that were huge involved in that. Fred Reap is the one that set it all up. Fred Reap is the main.
But yeah, it was awesome.
For me, it was
a great feeling, man.
Pretty
so
awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, so my next question is from Diecast Customizer Walker. He asked, what is your most favorite thing about monster trucks?
Watching them get destroyed.
Yeah, dude. Same thing as your favorite thing.
Yeah, man, freestyle, dude. Who doesn't love
even our trucks, you know.
I mean, the sound of the engine, the 1500 horsepower.
Yeah, blower motors.
Blower motor is just, there's nothing better than that. I mean,
you know, it's funny. We'll build a new truck and we'll be in the stands and there'll be people around. It's like, oh man, you guys built that new truck. You know, they kind of know who we are. And the truck gets destroyed. And they're like, oh, we're so sorry. You're just like, I'm not. Like, that's first off, it's payday. And 2, it's like, you know how much blood, sweat, and tears is in that thing? I love seeing it get destroyed. It's very therapeutic, you know?
I always try to get the driver. I'm like, dude, you got to destroy this thing tonight, man. Whoever it is.
Don't let Feld hear that one, right? Jesse's encouraging.
I try.
They don't ever work.
Yeah.
So my next question, and this kind of falls under the tomfoolery stuff. A few people wanted to know what is happening with the Mr. Beast monster truck. So for context, for those that may or may not have seen it, I reported on this, I think, early last year. There was a video with, I think, Travis Doodles and you guys came up with a Mr. Beast concept art, and I think it may have had something to do with tomfoolery. So if you're able to, can you give us an update on the Mr. Beast monster truck?
Not much of an update. Yeah, that one, we were going back and forth. They were very interested. We were talking to their people, and
kind of just fell off.
It just, it had a lot of traction. It was looking good. Jesse had a good concept, and then they were having to put some fires out on Mr. Beast in a little bit, and I think that they kind of just switched directions.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's completely shot down.
Yeah, that's the thing. They were like. Basically, the consensus is that just right now it wasn't a good time, but they're not interested. So
right, and if they ever decide to go that route, they know that there's a concept already ready to rock. We can make it happen, and then it would depend on how he would want to operate that situation. It costs a lot to run a team, and not that he don't have the money, but it takes a lot of people and manpower and time and all that. Yeah. So tomfoolery, since we work with all those guys so closely, would be an easy fit to throw that body on and let them run, for Mr. Beast. But it would be, that's all like way down the road if they decide to do it.
Absolutely. All right, so my next question is here from Brennan Jopp. He asks, has there been any thoughts of possible alternatives to fiberglass for monster truck bodies or for a one-off body as a side project? Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Megalodon is not fiberglass. It's a completely different material. I wish I knew what it was, but I'm sure that...
Megalodon is fiberglass.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
But originally they were putting a layer of this foam. It's the nickname's Disney foam in the industry, and they were gluing like a skin on it.
Right.
Now they don't do that. But there are a couple of trucks that have components that are like a vacuum form plastic.
Right.
And when we saw that, we were like, oh no, they're going plastic. So we rushed out and bought huge commercial plastic vacuum forming equipment, and haven't really done anything with it, but it's there just in case.
Yeah, we have it if you need it.
But fiberglass, at the end of the day, it's very strong. It's easy to patch. It's easy to body work. It's easy to paint. Plastics, you have to do like plastic adhesions, and if they crack and stuff, they require special. So fiberglass is just a much easier material. It's very strong and lightweight. Plastic, to get more durable plastic, you start getting thicker and it gets heavier. So yeah, there's components that can be the plastic, but all in all, I don't think fiberglass is going to go anywhere anytime soon. Carbon fiber is just too expensive, and for a monster truck, it's not worth it.
Do you think carbon fiber would work on a monster truck or not really?
It would work. I mean, it's just like fiberglass. It's just lighter weight and way more expensive.
Way more expensive. Yeah.
So if it's, these bodies are
11,000 pounds at the end of the day is still 11,000 pounds.
Yeah, it's a lot of metal crushed down on it, so it's not really worth doing the carbon fiber.
Of course, I understand. My next question from Brandon Syme. I think we may have covered this before, but Brandon Syme wants to know what body design took you the longest time to make. So I'm not sure if we will include, because I know, I think Jesse was talking about one of the company trucks took a really long time going back and forth between the design process. So I guess we'll say in terms of like carving and creating the body, what truck took the longest time?
Well,
El Diablo.
That would have been the longest one.
Yeah.
As far as
we've gotten faster and faster and faster as time has gone on. The Kraken did take a while.
In the newer stage of things in our process, our actual process, I would say Kraken.
So the actual physical building of it keeps getting faster and faster and faster.
Right.
What I was referring to was more of the design phases where it goes back and forth.
Of course.
But that depends on the truck too. I mean, any truck we come up, independent, it might take 3 days. And they're like, yeah, that's good. Let's go. And then, other trucks can take over a year. So
it just depends. But I think Kraken was probably the longest of our actual process that we do now, just because of all the little.
Oh man, all the little suction
cup tentacles.
We've learned. We're trying to learn not to shoot ourselves in the foot as much as possible. Man.
I sanded them.
Details are
weeks, and then somebody came by with a buffer and just blew the whole bottom half of them off. So I just had to jam clay on them.
And we use a lot of clay. At the end of the day, we're like, all right, it's got to go. We're done. No more Bondo. Just put clay in it, and
So that kind
impressive.
Of stuff happens. So, there's one time Aaron sanded on some teeth.
Oh my God. Well, this was El Diablo.
That was El Diablo, and another guy came.
I spent 32 hours.
Yeah, fixing
on a set of
getting
teeth.
them nice. He comes in
and
and
came in the next day, and the guy destroyed him.
He destroyed him, and he lost it.
They told the guy to go home because Aaron's going to kill him. Like, dude, go, get out of here. If Aaron sees this, you're dead. So I was about to punch holes through the wall, man. I was not happy.
Impressive. So my next question, and again, I think this has been covered as well, but a lot of people wanted to know, so we answer these fans' questions. Huntman01 wanted to know, what is the most difficult monster truck design y'all have created or worked on? I know, obviously, again, the answer is probably El Diablo, so I might make it a little bit tougher and say other than El Diablo.
Right. So, yeah, El Diablo was tough, but technically, the trucks keep getting way more technically, JCB creating those, like the backhoe buckets and all that. Thunder Horse was difficult because it opens, and that's the first time that's ever been done, and we had to figure out like how do we make that and it actually fit and work. And we actually had to build that one in stages. We had to build the whole, like the hood, A-pillar, roof, that whole top pivot had to go all the way to part. And then once we had a fiberglass part, then we could set that over the foam plug for the lower half, because we had to make sure it would clear. And there's not much clearance on it. I mean, there's like a 1/2 inch all the way around. I mean, it is a really tight, real close fit, but it has to be in order for it to hold up. So technically, that one's probably the most difficult.
Okay. Now, I do want to ask, kind of comboing off of that, was there any differences between fitting Thunder Roars for the two different drivers between Colt and Tony, or were they basically kind of the same? You really didn't have to do that much different with the molds, no?
No difference in that.
Okay.
They just try to make it where the drivers have a certain amount of vision, and then after that, they don't. Whatever else is going on, they're not worried about.
Of course, yeah. Well, I was mainly just thinking about from the point of view that I know that we were talking about this before, and I listened on the podcast that you guys did with Monster Jam, that depending on, the chassis, it's, fit to the driver, and obviously the body has to be fit to the chassis. So I figured if there was differences in Colts and Tonys, that maybe there might be some differences there, but that's fair enough. So my next question, moving on to the YouTube ones, this is from Supernova MT. He's got 3 here. So he says, which was your first body you guys worked on? That's El Diablo. What has been your favorite to make so far, and which Monster Truck team do you guys want to work with in the future?
Well, I know I want to work with the Disharoons.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Talk with them all the time. So the Metal Shop, Shaker, those guys are great. But I mean, we love all the independent guys. We hang out with like John Gordon. I mean, he runs one of the cleanest trucks out there.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So, but the cool thing with the Disharoons is, they have this metal fab shop. We have this fiberglass fab shop. We've introduced like the 3D scanning to them, and Jesse and the Disharoons actually helped create the King Sling ride truck for Dennis Anderson.
Right.
Together all in the computer. And so we got to work with them on that, but they're really fun group of people to work with, just because their ideas and what they can do with what we can do. I think that combo is just real dangerous. Like, we can make some cool stuff together.
Absolutely.
We're working on again. Making that what do you call it? The ride truck for Dennis. It was really cool because it was the first time we'd ever taken a digital body and then a digital frame, and we're able to meld them in the computer and make it all work perfectly. And then
we were making the body while they were making the chassis and all that.
Right.
And then it all came together. And I wasn't there for the fitment, but apparently it worked pretty well.
Perfect. So, it's the most perfect fitment.
That's awesome.
It was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Out of curiosity, have you guys been on Dennis's ride truck yet, or you haven't had the chance?
No, man.
And have not. Actually was on the phone with him last night. So
I have a text message in my phone. I can show it to you.
Jesse was supposed to be the first one to ride it.
I was supposed to be the first guy to ride it, and I still haven't ridden it, Dennis. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Oh, well, hopefully I get the chance one day, but being on the opposite side of the world, my chances are a little bit slim.
A little tough.
A little bit.
I'll put in a good word for you. Hey, Dennis.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Aaron. All right. My next question is from my good friend Garrett Hansen. He's got 2 questions. His first one is, if y'all could drive one truck, past or present, what would it be? And then his second one is, has there ever been a time where y'all were asked to do a body, preferably the custom concept ones like Kraken or the Marble trucks, but almost said no due to it either being too challenging or too expensive?
I wouldn't turn anything down for either one of those reasons.
Okay.
There's no such thing as too challenging, but there is it has to work. There's reality.
You have to make those compromises.
Yeah, we like challenges. I mean, that's why we're here.
Of course.
So as far as that goes, no.
If that was the case,
never turned anything.
He would have turned down LD.
Yeah, would have turned anything down. So we're not. Yeah, nothing's too challenging.
It's only gotten easier from there.
Yeah,
the technology has definitely made it way easier for everything, because you go to hand carving, it's not a good time. We've even had the machine break in the middle of doing things, and Aaron's had to hand carve in sections.
Oh,
fill in the blanks,
like
kind of thing.
Just have to guess where it was supposed to be, and he would fill it in. Had to do that before, but
And then as far as like truck to drive, like iconic, or just all
Gravedigger all day.
Gravedigger would be
That's
pretty.
a no-brainer.
I don't know. I'd like to jump in. Ryan's son of a digger one.
Well,
one
yeah.
time
I mean,
too.
obviously, Dennis did slip up last night and say that he is going to let me fully drive King Sling and blow the thing to pieces.
Again,
now recording this,
he said,
don't get your hopes up, Eric.
Yeah. He's like, it's about time to all the bodies you guys have provided us that you get to blow one off. I'm like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'd pay to see that. I'd fly to America just to see Eric tear it up. Hey.
I know. Me too.
So going off of that question, this is one of kind of comboing off of Garrett's question. Would you drive any one of the trucks that you have created? So anything like, say, El Diablo, if
I'd drive any of them.
It would ever happen. Okay.
We did get to drive Kraken for a minute.
Yeah, we got to do like a little hole shot, and it was
okay.
in my life.
Yeah.
So Matt keeps promising
in our parking lot. So it was about, I don't know, not even a football field.
It was like 30 yards.
30 yards.
But it was enough to understand the power.
Again, I know why these guys dump so much money into it. I mean, it is pretty impressive.
Yeah, I couldn't even imagine launching one over one of those jumps they hit.
Well, we work closely with a bunch of TV shows. Our buddy David Ankin, he has a show, and he drives builds and drives some of the fastest things on the planet, from motorcycles to cars and stuff. And we did an episode with him with the Peggy Rulos, and he got to drive Kraken. And he said, he was kind of joking before. He's like, it's only 1,500 horsepower. Well, he's got cars that are 5,000 horsepower, And he got done driving, and he was just like, wow, I had no idea. He's like, that was incredible. He's like, that's a very deceiving 1,500 horsepower. He said,
with the gearing and stuff in them, I mean, with that low gearing,
it's crazy, man.
Launches.
That's a weird feeling, the way those things move.
That was season 3, episode 7 of Toy Makers, by the way.
I was just about to ask what the name of the show was.
Yeah, that was a good episode.
Toy Makers with a Z on the end. Toy Makers.
Yeah. I think I do remember watching that at some point. I think it was streaming down here. That was a really fun episode. My next question, and again, this has to do with, we've got a few different Kraken and Jester questions here from Tomfoolery 1 fan. So I guess this is the Paglarula's #1 fan. How did you guys come up with the designs for Jester and Kraken, and how do you make so many special bodies all identical to one another perfectly? So again, just to reiterate to Tomfoolery's #1 fan, Jester was a truck originally from the Paglarulers, and correct me if I'm wrong, you guys didn't have anything to do with Jester, but you did co-create Kraken.
Correct. Right. Yeah.
Okay.
But we still build the bodies for Jester.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
And then as far as repeating those, I mean, once you have a mold, the parts are going to look the same. And then once we come down, like get a paint scheme concept, once you paint one time, you just kind of don't forget the process.
Yeah. And all the Krakens look a little bit different.
They do. Like,
they have their own little.
Yeah,
they're all hand done. So
Jesse's painted them. I painted them. Timmy at the shop's painted them. I mean, it's whoever's kind of available. And you can tell if Jesse paints it, it takes him 3 days, and the detail's insane. If I paint it, it's done in like 4 hours, and it definitely doesn't look as good as Jesse's. So it really depends on who's doing the work. So.
Absolutely. And kind of going off of that, from Bot Jammer Productions, he says, big fan of Starr Creations. His question is, was there any inspiration for the blue Kraken or any of the colored Jesters?
Well, I know Matt likes to change the color of the Jesters, frequently,
that's all on their end.
That's on their end. And then, I mean, you guys had kind of talked about the teal. Wasn't it like a teal and orange or something at first? Yeah. And then that didn't quite look right when you did the concept. So Jesse adjusted the colors.
Yeah, it was really Nick's idea to do the change.
But I feel like he didn't realize we were doing the change when we painted it. He was kind of surprised.
It was his idea, but yeah, we kind of did it, or Matt had us do it secretly.
Yeah, he had the concept, but he didn't know we actually were painting it different. And
yeah, he thought it would be cool. We were like, that sounds cool.
I prefer the teal one over the green. I mean, the green's cool, but the teal, man, those colors. Yeah, I mean, that's why we made this shirt here for it. So
yeah, this is the new Kraken shirt right here.
Yeah, which you can't see.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that looks. Well, I may as well ask, now that you're showing off those amazing shirts, where can the fans purchase Starr Creations merch?
StarrCreations.com.
Or
All right.
this QR code right
Yeah.
here.
Scan that.
All
I don't
right.
think it'll work. Try it.
It might.
We'll try. And worst comes to worst, I'll put a link in the description. I'll throw up some graphic on screen.
Right on.
Yeah, I'll send you a link to post.
Okay, that's perfect. Yeah.
It's a link to everything.
It links
It's a
our
link
store,
tree.
our Instagram, our YouTube,
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Okay, perfect. Well, I will definitely throw that up, and I'll put that in the description. So fans, if you want to buy some Starr Creations merch, help the guys out, make sure to click that link and buy some fantastic merch. I might have to buy
We got
some.
hats
while I'm
being
over.
made right now. So we got shirts right now. We'll have some hats, stickers. There's more to come. We're going to be releasing stuff on a monthly basis. So
Actually, out of curiosity, you guys going to be at the World Finals in May?
I'd like to be. Yeah. We do a lot of TV show stuff for Netflix shows and things out in California. So we got a lot of connections and friends out there. So between them and Monster Jam, I think it'd be a pretty good trip. So
Right. Well, I might have to cop some merch from you guys because I don't know if you know, but I'm going over in May for the World Finals. That's gonna be awesome. Except for the 13-hour flight.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, my second to last question's from a good friend Jen. His name's Quookie Vids. He asked, did Kraken ever have a concept with a boat mold instead of an Escalade mold under the Kraken? And if so, would you ever consider bringing that back as a special body?
No, that was never that was never part of the concept. But there was a concept that the truck underneath the Kraken was going to be like an old rusty Jester. With
okay.
The logo and everything all kind of rusted
Which is
off.
kind of what it is.
It's kind of what it is.
It's an Escalade, but not Jester.
Technically, it is the same truck, but it would look like an old Jester. That was part of the concept, or I don't know if that was my idea or what. I thought that'd be cool.
But it still looks. I mean, it's still an Escalade.
But yeah, it was never going to be a boat or anything. It was supposed to be a truck that had been under the water for a long time, and then this Kraken grabbed onto it and kind of floated it up in the air.
Okay. Would you ever consider bringing that concept to real life, or is that kind of off the table?
I mean,
it depends on who's got the money.
Yeah.
You want to pay us
fair enough.
to do a concept. Yeah. To create a truck's pretty pricey, so it depends on
Maybe a 3D print one.
Yeah.
That might be a little tiny toy. Make a little small.
We'll get some crayons out and draw it for you real quick.
Crayons. Awesome. I can't wait for the crayon sketch. It's gonna be awesome. I got some room on my door. I'll hang it up there.
Space. Yeah, just put it on the door.
Yeah, we just hang it up there.
I'm gonna come to your house and just draw it on your door. How about that?
You know what? I'm down for that. Hey.
All right.
This door's pretty boring, so I mean, you can liven it up.
Jesse does most of the design, so you don't really want me drawing it on your door. So.
Actually, you know what? I think it'll make it more authentic. I'll go to my mom and say, "Hey, that's the Aaron Starr. He drew that crayon Kraken."
That idiot Aaron Starr came over here and did that to my wall.
She's gonna be like, "Who?" All right, my final question, my final fan question. This is from Andy Leseski. What have been some of Starr's favorite and most challenging bodies to make a reality? I'm not going to limit it to just one. However many bodies that you think are rewarding, challenging, or just awesome, go ahead. What are some of your favorites?
That's literally all of them.
Yeah.
They're all challenging. It's always rewarding to see, the public response to it when they debut a truck. That's like one of the best feelings.
I was about to say that one right there.
And
like staring at.
Oh yeah, that truck.
That is one of my favorite trucks.
Yeah.
In the world.
This is Jason Becker, Master of Faster, designed this truck, by the way.
Yeah.
We did build it, but he designed this truck. But this one right here,
just the concept.
And just
when you see that in person,
yeah,
it's so
cool,
big.
Man.
It's so cartoony.
Yeah.
And just to be able, for all of the trucks, really, that to be able to go to like a Walmart or a store and just see them sitting there with your name on the hood, that's pretty cool, man. That's everyone's rewarding in that sense for sure.
Yeah, all the trucks are a pain in the butt and frustrating and a nightmare until they're done, and then they're painted and thrown on a chassis, and then you put the big tires on. It's like, okay, it just keeps getting better, and then it gets debuted to the public, and then you just see people like crowded around all of your effort, all of everybody involved, from whether it's company truck or independent. There's so many people that go down the line to make this happen, and it's just
And then you just have to
Cool feeling.
You just hope that it's going to run for more than 3 seconds before getting completely destroyed.
Yeah, we built a
I
couple.
want to see it get destroyed. That's fine, but
Yeah.
at least do it like a minute or so into the run. That's
Yeah, we're in the stands. People are like, "Oh, we can't wait to see the new truck," and it comes out, does a jump, and blows
What
to
was it?
pieces. Like
Pirate's Curse, but it lasts like
Pirate's Curse
10
was about 5 seconds.
yeah,
10
first turn.
seconds.
He went to the first corner and he just rolled it and just
yeah,
smashed
but that was during like it was a race.
It was a race. It was like literally the beginning.
I thought Wolfshead did the same thing, didn't he?
Might have. I don't think.
I just
happens
know
enough.
I just know that week we completely. It was like the plug is what was on the truck. So the piece that we actually made the mold off of was the piece that he was running on the truck.
Yeah, because we were up against the clock.
Yeah, because we had no
Right.
time. So we had this thing all stitched together and bondoed up, and that's what actually crashed, which was funny. But it did only last like 5 seconds, and we're like, oh no.
Yeah.
It looked cool for 5 seconds.
Yeah, it was neat.
Impressive. Well, before I end off this amazing episode, which once again, I want to thank you guys so much for reaching out, wanting to do this podcast. I really appreciate your time. As I do with usually every podcast, before I end off today's episode, I know that we were just shouting out the Starr Creations website before. I'm going to give you guys the opportunity to shout out anything that you'd like, your socials, your store, your website, whatever you want to do. I'm going to give you the floor to shout out whatever you think you need to.
First and foremost, we discussed this for a second earlier, but you were saying who does our social media editing and all of that.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Adam Gilly,
His name is
man.
Adam Gilly, and we decided when we decided not to do a TV show, basically we decided to go full on social media. We invited him to become part of the crew, and since that day, man, it's been blowing up.
He wanted to be here, but he's with his
Yeah,
kids
he's
for
out of
spring
town.
break right now. So,
That's awesome.
but he's
he
killing
really
it.
does,
Like
so-
he is making us
Shout out
look
to
really
him.
good, man. Like really good. So
he's
um,
top notch for sure.
So that being said, starcreations.com can kind of send you, I mean, there's links there.
StarCreations.com/links. We'll give you a link tree with all of our stuff. So there's the Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all that's on there. And then also usbody.com.
Yeah, US Body, all of our socials. We don't have. I don't think I have any a main link yet, but I do.
But
want to get it.
usbody.com.
Yeah, that's our main
I'll put
website.
that in the links.
Yeah, we need to get it up there.
I'll put it in that link.
But anyway, we need all the social media for give us a follow. US
We're
Body.
idiots. We're just learning all this.
Yeah, man, we're trying here.
So we're going to try to do long content
There you
about
go,
every
yeah.
other week. Like
USBody.com.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, there you go.
But we're going to try to do a lot of long format content, YouTube stuff every other week probably is kind of the goal. And then tons of the short form. And then we're doing ridiculous commercials for every T-shirt
And
hat
I've
and
seen this
everything.
guy lose his shirt on these last two.
I somehow got the short end of the stick. I got to take my shirt off all the time, but it's okay. Not like a fat guy with a shirt.
It worked out great for me.
Yeah. So that should be entertaining because we're going to be releasing a lot of merch. So
We will also have US Body merch up at some point, at least shop shirts to begin with, if people want them, but that'll over some time. So we're still working on that baby a little bit.
Absolutely. Well, guys, Jesse, Aaron, and Eric, thank you guys so much for being on today's podcast. Really appreciate your time. And fans, thank you very much for supporting Monster Talk and the Bonus Time Monster Truck podcast. We will see you on another episode. Good night, everybody.
good night, everybody.
Thanks, Jack.
Thanks for
Take it
joining
away,
us.
bro.